So good morning, good evening, and welcome. Thank you all for coming back and joining us for day 4. Today we do have Jen here with us from counseling, and she's going to go over some of the services and supports that they have to offer. So Jen, if you want to get started.
Absolutely. I'm going to try enable my screen share, and hopefully you can see my screen with my slides on it. I'm going to try and move it over so then I can be looking at you instead of looking at my other screen. So are you still able to see my slides, or did they move? No. Okay, let me do this again. This is the joys of technology.
And a
There we
bunch of
go.
us that are not sure how to use it, right?
There you go. Excellent. Can you see my slides now?
We can.
Excellent. Okay. So let me get this from the beginning. As we introduced, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Jen, and I am one of about 18 counselors that works here at Fanshawe. And I'd just like to tell you a little bit about some of the supports and resources that are available to you as students at Fanshawe. All of the tools and resources are free to you. So if you have paid tuition, none of the things that I'm going to talk about today will cost you. And we'll talk a little bit about, so there's 2 teams within our office. And when we talk about wellness, it's a very big concept, and we look at physical wellness, we look at emotional wellness, and what we want to do is make sure that that is in balance. And so if you go on to My Fanshawe, it is often a hub of opportunities that are available. They change. There's lots of new activities that are added as the term and the school year goes on. So I encourage you to check in with My Fanshawe quite regularly because there might be new opportunities that come up. One of the things that our office delivers is groups and workshops to students. And some students are maybe a little bit shy or nervous about joining our groups, and just want to clarify with our groups, you don't have to go in and share your personal information. You don't have to talk about your family or your own experience. Many of times our groups are designed to teach. And so the Be Well group is a series of 4 different topics, and it just introduces some things that can be very practical and helpful as you manage your transition into post-secondary. So it might be things like communication and looking at what's my communication style. Am I passive and typically accepting? Am I assertive, where I can be respectful of not only the people that I'm talking to, but also respectful and considerate of my own needs and wants? And that's a new concept sometimes for students. We look at stress management techniques. Things like sleeping are critical for human success. Things like a healthy diet and a balanced diet. Sometimes when we get busy, we look at things like efficiency. And sometimes that means maybe making unhealthy eating choices. So we just look at general health and wellness in that Be Well group. We also have an ADHD group, and I'll talk a little bit about attention deficit and groups for students who are on the autism spectrum. Lots of very specific strategies to be helpful. All of those groups are free, and when you go on to our counseling website, you'll see the opportunity to register for those. We offer counseling services to Fanshawe College students who are enrolled in one of our post-secondary degree, certificate, or diploma programs. It is free, so there is no cost for any of the appointments that you schedule, and it's confidential. And that's a new concept sometimes for students, depending on your own experience. In Canada, when we talk about confidentiality, it means that your conversations are private. As an adult, this is your personal information. You should get to decide who hears it and who doesn't. So if you speak with one of our counselors, it does not appear on your transcript or report card. Your faculty and teachers do not get to know if you're meeting with the counselor, especially not what you're talking about. It means that family, friends, or partners cannot call and say, "What did my child or partner talk about?" And it really is private. We will not confirm if you're connecting with a counselor, and we will absolutely not share. There are some limitations to that privacy, though, and safety is really important. So, you keeping yourself safe, people in your world need to be safe, and especially children. So, if there are messages or statements made about safety, we need to work to keep people safe. And so, we may need to connect with people, whether it's in the London or other area community, campus resources, to make sure that people stay safe. So it's not absolutely private. There are some limitations, but unless it's a matter of safety or if it's a legal matter, it will not be shared without your permission. When students speak with a counselor, it's really helpful to know what to expect, right? So if you've never spoken with a counselor, some students come in thinking we as counselors, are going to tell you what the right answer is, looking for guidance, looking for tell me what to do. And that is not what we do. And so sometimes students will share and then they'll say, "Jen, what's the right answer?" As an adult, we like to encourage you to figure out what the right answer is for you. So you will bring a concern, and it can be anything that is causing you distress. We'll look at that concern, we'll look at the options, we'll talk about the possible outcomes if you choose some of those options. So we sort of see ourselves like tour guides, where we'll look at a situation from a lot of different angles. We'll maybe identify some options that maybe you weren't aware of, but we're not going to tell you what to do because that's not fair to you. You know yourself better than anybody on the planet, and we want to help you to arrive at decisions that make sense for you. So you can book appointments, and right now our appointments are virtual, just like we're doing now. We also offer in person where you can come in and connect with a counselor or by phone. And these counseling services can be arranged at all of our campuses. So whether you're studying in London, Simcoe, Woodstock, you have access to our counseling team. The phone number that's on the screen there takes you to our reception team, and they manage the schedules for all of the counselors. So calling that number will give you access to the personal counselors, and they can book an appointment for you. There may be some times when a situation may come up and it's more urgent. So, in addition to appointments that we schedule maybe a week or two out, there's also some same day appointments. And that could be, I don't know, that maybe next Wednesday might be a really challenging day for me. So, I don't know to book ahead. But you can call that number and just see if we have some same day appointments where we'll try and get you in to connect with the counselor that same day. These are some of the topics that students will come in to speak with us about: adjusting to a new environment. And so coming to Fanshawe, there's a lot of new that is going to be happening for you. New teachers, new language, new school, new program, new country, new roommates. And human beings are typically creatures of habit. We like routine, we like to know what's familiar and what to expect. And so when you come to Fanshawe, there will be some mixed emotions. There will be lots of excitement, lots of novelty, lots of new opportunity. And that is very exciting. But for some people, that can also be very draining, very tiring, and maybe it is met with a little bit of fear. So coming in to speak with a counselor to talk about how can I manage these feelings? How can I create a community around me by meeting other students? Stress is something that is a part of all of our lives. And so whenever I ask students to rate their level of stress, I always say on a scale of 1 to 10, because the only time we have no stress is maybe when we're sleeping and we're unconscious. And even then, sleep can sometimes be restless or disturbed. So I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, it may be maybe you have wet socks and that's irritating. So maybe that's a 1 or a 2. But maybe you have a lot of stress in your life, and maybe some of that stress is in addition to school. So maybe there are some relationship concerns. Maybe there are some family concerns going on. Maybe there are some addictions or depression and anxiety. And we talk about depression and anxiety a lot in North America. It's very common. And for some of you, the topic of mental health and how freely people speak about it might be new. But this would be a private environment. And we talk about, anxiety is something that can be helpful. So if I have a test coming up next Wednesday, a little bit of anxiety is going to maybe motivate me to study for that test, maybe get me to get some of those assignments in so I'm familiar with the material. Too much anxiety looks at things like maybe that stress that I'm feeling is making it hard for me to fall asleep at night. Maybe I can fall asleep, but maybe I'm waking up a lot, maybe every hour or 2 to 3 hours. Maybe I get tummy upset. Maybe I can't eat, right? Some people, when they feel anxious or too much anxiety, they can't eat. Others have the opposite. They're eating more than usual. Maybe I'm feeling like I can't relax and maybe I can't just sort of exhale a little bit. So if you're finding that the way that you react is sort of has increased and it's going on for a longer period of time, it may be helpful to come in and chat with one of our counselors. The same thing is true when we talk about depression, and this may be a new term for some of you as well. It sometimes shares a lot of the symptoms with anxiety, where sometimes we're sleeping a lot more than usual. Sometimes we sleep less. Sometimes we feel irritable, right? Sometimes depression comes out as irritability. So sometimes the people that we love and adore are now starting to bug us a lot. And maybe our patience goes down. Sometimes we're feeling that sadness, but maybe it's more sadness and over a longer period of time. Maybe the way we feel about ourselves has started to decrease as well. And those activities that one time brought us joy, maybe they're kind of making us feel flat, not helping us to feel good. These are all reasons to come in and speak with a counselor. We'll talk about your experience and look at different ways to maybe improve and increase your experience. We do offer some groups, and one of the activities I love is the mindfulness. And I will tell you, I am a strong convert. I have not always loved mindfulness. For me, it has always been really hard for me to slow down. So I actually found the activities frustrating at first, but I will encourage you to try and stick with it. And with the mindfulness, I'm going to summarize it into one very small activity. What I want you to do is just put your hand on your tummy, take a deep breath in your nose, hold it, and breathe out. Do that one more time. In, feel your lungs expand, and exhale. What you have just done is a mindfulness activity. And just for 7 to 10 seconds, we focused on our breath, which means we weren't worrying about the next 20 minutes of our life. We weren't worrying about last year or even 5 years ago. And what mindfulness really does is that it encourages you to focus on the right now. Sometimes anxiety happens or that stressful nervousness creeps in when we're thinking too much about the future. Sometimes depression can creep in when we think too much about the past. And what mindfulness does is just allows you to focus on the here and now and decide, is this happening right now? Because if it's not, maybe I can mentally put that on a shelf, promise myself I can deal with it later, but maybe I just need to focus on right now. And so for some of you, you might be really excited about starting your program, maybe hopping on a plane for the first time. Again, that's in the future. Let's just focus on the next hour together, and eventually we'll work on not even the hour, but this very minute. And sometimes it can be very relaxing to give ourselves permission to just say, what am I doing right now? And if it's not related to the right now, maybe I can put that on a shelf and just do one thing at a time. It does take practice. And so sometimes having that weekly group can really be helpful. We also offer that wellness workshop series that I was talking about as well. So I encourage you to explore those options. It can be really helpful if it's something that you're used to doing to have those reminders that, yeah, this is helpful and this is how it can help me. Some of the activities might be very new. And so many students walk away with at least one or two tools that will be helpful for them. I'm a member of the Accessibility Services team, and at any one time, we have about 46,000 students at Fanshawe. They are not all on campus or the same campus at the same time, but we have about 10,000 students, 10% of the student population that's registered with us in accessibility services. And I'll talk a little bit about some of those resources because, again, this may be new to some of you. So, when we talk about a disability, so a student with a disability is someone who may want to register with our office. And a disability is really a big definition. In short, it's a condition that comes into the learning environment with you. And so, if it impacts your ability to learn, it could be considered a disability. So, acquired brain injury, this might be a concussion. Maybe you fell and hit your head while you were walking. Maybe you were involved in an auto accident or had a surgery. For some people, some of the symptoms that they experience around memory, maybe headaches, fatigue, sensitivity to light and computers, for some people, that's temporary. Our office can help provide you with support while you have those symptoms. For others, their symptoms are permanent, which means they're expected to last your lifetime. We can provide support with that as well. If you're on the autism spectrum, or if you've been diagnosed with ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, if you have a chronic illness, so if someone is undergoing cancer treatment, if you take medication where it affects maybe your thinking ability, or maybe it causes upset tummy, those are reasons to connect with us because you may need to leave class perhaps to participate in treatment. Maybe you have a doctor's appointment or a specialist appointment where it may conflict with maybe a test that you have. Maybe your medication may need you to leave and go to the bathroom during tests. We can look at options to help you with that. If you're deaf, deafened, or hard of hearing, if you have a learning disability, and this is new for some people, and in short, what a learning disability is there's sort of three different areas. Do you have difficulty getting information in, such as do you have difficulty reading text, like what's on the screen, or accurately getting information in that's delivered through sound? You may get that information in, but maybe it doesn't stick, right? Maybe there are some memory challenges. Or do you have difficulty getting your information out? So that might be, I have a hard time writing, or maybe I have a hard time verbalizing what I know. Those might be new concepts for you. If you have some vision impairments, low vision or blind, mental health is a concept that is very new, and even students in Canada are sometimes surprised to learn that they can qualify for support if they have a mental health condition like anxiety and depression. So if I'm someone who has maybe a lot of depression and I'm writing a test, that information is in my mind, but maybe sometimes there is what we call fuzzy thinking. I can access that information, but maybe it takes me a little bit longer to do than I used to. Or maybe I need a little bit of extra time if I feel anxious to maybe pause and do some of that breathing that we talked about. So extra time on tests might be helpful. And then mobility or functional, right? So you may require access to a wheelchair, maybe to get to some of your classes. Maybe if I had a back injury from an auto accident, sitting in a chair for a long period of time might be uncomfortable. So maybe you need to take breaks during tests so that you can stretch your back or to relieve some of that tension. So this tells you sort of the number of students that typically register with us. Right now, the biggest population of students that register with us in accessibility services have mental health conditions, followed by learning disabilities. Some students fall in some of the categories. So we know that learning disabilities is also related to mental health. ADHD is linked with mental health as well. So some students fall into more than one category. So when a student registers with us, we look at something called accommodations, and that usually is a support that is helpful for you while you work within the program. We stress that we are not going to change the program in any way. You still need to meet the essential learning outcomes to get a credit, but we can look at some flexibility in how you do that. So we gave the example of a 1 hour test. Maybe we give you an hour and a half so that you can stretch your back or perhaps do some of those grounding activities. Note-taking services is an accommodation that many students find helpful. So if I think about this presentation, reading the slides, listening to me speak, you might be writing down information and then also thinking about questions that you have. That's 4 different activities. And some people find it hard to do 4 things at once. We have note-taking resources that may include maybe recording some of the presentations that you have, matching you with another student in the class who's already busy taking their notes and maybe they share their notes with you, or we have a digital app where you can record the class and the digital app types out the notes for you. We also have individual classroom accommodations. So some students who have mobility needs may need a desk that raises or lowers, and textbooks in alternate formats. So some students learn better or retain information better if it's read out loud. We can get digital copies of your textbooks so that you can listen to them. Usually, the first step in registering with our office is getting documentation. And that is a letter or an assessment report that tells us about your learning needs. Do not feel that that is needed. One of the things that I love the most about Fanshawe is that we will work with you to look at what your learning needs are, and we'll get that documentation together. So if you know after my presentation, if you know that you have a disability, I welcome you to register with us. If you're not sure or you think you have a disability, register with us. We'll go through that process to look at, is this a disability related concern? We may connect you with medical doctors to get an assessment or documentation, but we'll work with you to put supports in place while we're figuring that out together. So the steps in the process. So if you suspect that you may benefit from our office, you can complete the early ID form. And so once you have paid your tuition and you have a student number, which you do now, you can register with our office, submit your documentation. So any of the materials, some of you may think it's helpful while you're at home to go, oh, I need to grab that document or that record before I leave. You can connect with our intake coordinator who will give you a tour of our services and let you know about some of the opportunities. And then you'll meet with your counselor, someone like me, to talk about your accommodation related needs. Some of the limitations, if you tell us about your disability, we do not tell your instructors what your disability is. So if you've been diagnosed with depression, we do not share that with your doctor or with your instructors. It does not appear on your visa or your report card if you have accommodations. Because we're not changing your course and the right answers are still the right answers, it does not impact your studies at the college. So it doesn't appear on your visa, it doesn't appear on your transcript. And that is something that some students have been concerned about. If you have questions or concerns, again, that's our phone number for our reception team. They can book you an appointment with one of our personal counselors. If you have questions about disabilities and whether or not you can register, you can always email us as well at accessibility@fanshawe.ca. And we just welcome you to connect with us. So we have lots of resources, and some students connect with our personal counselors if they're providing support for someone they care about. So maybe it's not you that is experiencing the depression or anxiety, but maybe it's your roommate or your partner, and maybe you need some help and maybe some strategies with how to support them. Come on in and see us. Okay. So I will stop my share. I know sometimes there are lots of questions and I'm being mindful of our time. So I'm going to try and open the chat and I will go through some of these. I'll go back up. So good sound and hearing is all good. Just trying to see if any are related. Yeah. Okay, so I think there were questions about whether we can have access to the presentation slides, and those are definitely available, so we can share those with students. And so sometimes it can be helpful to go back and look at some of those slides as well. So yeah, absolutely, those slides are available. Okay,
And
you're
Jen,
very welcome.
sorry, is that something you're able to add into the presentation, like into the chat?
Oh, see, here we go now. Now I would like to say yes, but I typically it's an email link. What I can also do is email them to you and you can share them out. If that works, I will do that immediately after our presentation. Excellent. Any other questions at all? Yes, so it's when your program starts. One of the questions is, when can I start to access these services and supports? So if you're a student with a disability, you can register with us. We are doing intake appointments for programs that start in September. So you can register with our team now to look at accommodations. Personal counseling will start once your program starts. So I believe that is September 6th, perhaps. So the Tuesday or Wednesday. So once your program starts, that's when the counseling services will be available to you. Yeah, so can we check in? Absolutely. So we can check in with a counselor. So sometimes it's almost like a maintenance, right? So if I have a car, I take my car in for regular oil changes. Some students find it helpful to connect with a counselor throughout the term just to check in, just to make sure that things are going well. And sometimes when we're with a counselor, sometimes topics come up that we didn't even realize were impacting us. So yeah, you can come in and check with us as well. Once things go well in your life, you're welcome to continue as a maintenance for sure. Excellent. You're very welcome. I will defer. I'm not sure the housing session and those topics. Yes, there are counselors that are available. So the London Oxford campus is sort of the main campus, and that's where all of our counselors have an office. But we also have counselors that provide support in Woodstock, in St. Thomas, in Simcoe. So there are counselors that do provide support to students at all of our campuses, including London South.
So that it looks like we've covered a lot of the questions, and I'm sure a lot will come up as you start to plan to actually arrive and you start your schooling. This is a service that's open at any point during the school term as well. So thank you, Jen, for joining us.
My pleasure.
It's always so great listening to you. Career Services will also be with us next week. So as I had said yesterday, a lot of these topics will get covered sort of as we go. But right now we do have Ashley with us from the Wellness Center. And Jen, you're welcome to stick around if you'd like, or if you need to cut it short.
I just want to make sure that if I close the link that I don't close the Zoom. I'm not the host, right?
You're co-host, so it should remain okay.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Crystal, can I have access to share my screen, pretty please? We talked a little bit about how we know that healthy, well-balanced students are also successful students. So seeing those things like sleep, nutrition, stress management, emotional health, mental health, those things that Jen was talking about as well, come into your life makes you more successful in the academic areas. So we know that those things all kind of complement out, and that is our main goal. Next slide, Crystal. Is ultimately to connect your education, career, and lifestyle in an easily manageable way. So this was where I was talking about taking those things with you even after you're done at Fanshawe and you've left the college. It's really great to have those skills in place that will allow you to carry those things all the way through your life. Next slide. So we'll go back, start talking about activating our memberships. So this is the slide that I was talking about taking a picture of. So logging into that web advisor account, when you log in, you'll be able to click on student, and then in the bottom corner, there will be a miscellaneous information title. The first link under that is Wellness Center Get Active questionnaire. When you click on that, it's going to open up to about a 7 to 10 questionnaire. You're going to answer yes or no to each of those questions and hit submit. Once you've done that, 24 hours later, your fan card becomes your tap access into the facility. It is extremely important that you have your fan card every single time you come in here. You will get turned away if you don't. It's our only way to verify that you have completed this questionnaire and that you are a current student that's able to come in and use the facility. So your fan card is your access to a lot of things on campus. So just make sure you have it at all times. If you are a full-time student at the London campus, the downtown campus, or the London South campus, this is automatically included in your membership. So there's no extra fees, you just have to follow this process. If you are outside of those campuses, or maybe you're part-time, you will have to come to the front desk and see us, and we'll be able to, you still are able to use the facility, you just have to purchase a membership. Next slide, Crystal. So our current hours of operation for the fall will be Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. and then Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. The rock wall and the golf simulator, which we're going to talk about in a second, and you'll see some pictures, they do have slightly different hours. So they may be open for shorter periods of time than that, but the fitness facility and the squash is open during those hours. Now the fun stuff, our programs and services. So in the facility, we have 2 floors of fitness equipment. On the floors, you'll see these are just a couple of pictures, but the facility is very large and does include things like treadmills, bikes, ellipticals, benches, power racks, selectorized or like weight machines. We have barbells, we have dumbbells, bench presses. You can see the lifting platforms there. We do have a turf area as well that has a lot of the equipment that goes with that: sleds, kettlebells, wall balls, slam balls, battle ropes. I could go on and on, but you kind of get the idea. We have a ton of equipment, and if you're looking for it and you can't find it, please ask us, because odds are it's probably here and it might be hiding somewhere in a corner. And we're happy to point you in the right direction. Next slide. With your membership, you get access to several free services. So there's no extra fees for these next couple of things that I'm going to talk about. The first is the in-body assessment. So that's actually what you see in the picture there. It's basically a fancy scale, and it breaks down body weight into body fat, muscle mass, your total body water, etc. So it gives you a little more information than just a single number on the scale. You also have access to a fitness orientation, which is an introductory program. We do our best to tailor that to your fitness level and abilities. So if you're someone who is a little more familiar with the gym, then you can still take advantage of this program, and we'll just kind of cater it to where your experiences are. The other thing that you do get access to is our full group fitness schedule. So all of our group fitness classes are included in your membership, and we have a wide variety of them: yoga, dance X, which is like a Zumba style dance class. And then we have classes like circuit classes like total body conditioning. We are bringing back kickboxing in the fall, which we haven't had and people are really excited about. And then we also have strength style classes as well. So like barbell, hand weight type classes. Next slide, Crystal. We do also have personal training available. Now, this is not an included service. There is additional fees for this. You do get a free consultation if you're interested in personal training. So before you spend any money on any sort of sessions, you will get to meet with one of our staff members, and we'll make sure that personal training is going to work for you. So before we take any money, we make sure that we have a trainer that's going to be a good fit for you, that we have a trainer that's available during times that's going to work for you, and that is actually what you're looking for, because sometimes we find that people need different programs, and sometimes those programs are included or free. So we want to make sure that we're filtering you into those correct programs before we take any money from you. If you are interested in personal training and working with somebody one-on-one, the program will be extremely individualized to your goals, to your needs, to your fitness abilities. And it can be a really great next step from some of those initial appointments that I just talked about. So those free services, this is kind of that next step and that next stepping stone. So we can get you started and help you build that base if you're new to fitness with that orientation. And then with the personal training services, we can take it to the next level to help you achieve those goals. The other amenities that we do have in the facility include the rock climbing wall, the golf simulator, and the squash courts. Those are all located right here on campus. You do also have access to a swimming pool. It is not right here on campus, but it's not far away. So you can register to put your name on the swim list as well. The rock climbing, golf simulator, and squash are all included in your membership. So there's no extra fees for that as long as you are a full-time student. All abilities are welcome to use the climbing and the golf simulator. In the climbing wall, it's always staffed. So if you've never climbed before, you just come in, you let the staff member know you've never climbed before. They'll give you an orientation, show you how to put on the harness. And they'll give you tips and tricks. We have 2 different types of climbing, so they'll teach you about those. The golf simulator, again, is lots of open time. But we also do have learn to golf sessions. So we have a really fantastic instructor who will work with you. If you've never swung a golf club before, he will have you hitting a ball before the end of your first lesson. He is fantastic at what he does. It's been probably hands down one of our most popular services since we implemented it. So if you're having trouble getting into one of those, let us know and we will get you in, because they are often full and waitlisted. Squash, again, we do have equipment for all of these. So rock climbing, golf simulator, squash, we do have equipment for all of them. So if you don't have anything, then please don't let that deter you from using these services. We can provide you with equipment. Booking. So most of our services in here can be booked through the Fanshawe Fitness Center app. You'll notice I placed a screenshot of the app in there, so you'll see classes, appointments, and assets. I like to orient people. Classes are any sort of group fitness class. Appointments include those first things that we were talking about, those in-body assessments, fitness orientations. And then assets are the spaces. So that includes the rock wall and the golf simulator. That's where you will see those under the assets tab. You will, when you download the Fanshawe Fitness Center app, it'll ask you to sign up, create an account. You do not have to use your Fanshawe online email. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And then once you've created that account, you can book all of our programs and services through the app. We also do, sometimes there's a fourth tab there that says, I think it's enrollments is what it's called, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. And that's where you'll find special events. So one-off type things. We offer programs like Learn to Climb. I'm trying to think what else. We've run golf tournaments before in the simulator. And then we often have fitness programs that run each semester that will be found under there as well. You can jump forward now, Crystal. One more. So we are located on the Fanshawe College Boulevard campus in Building J. Our website is there, so studentwellnesscenter.ca. We also do have an Instagram page, which we are relatively active on, Fanshawe SWC. And then there's the app as well. So Fanshawe Fitness Center is what it's called, and you'll find that in both Apple and Google Play stores. And that's all I have for you. I know I saw questions popping up, so give me 1 second, open the chat. And let me scroll back a little bit here. So a question about the questionnaire. If you're not able to access it now, it means that you don't have access to the facility right now. So if you are a student starting in September, typically you'll get access about 7 days before the semester starts. And you'll be able to start using the facility on that first day of the semester. So is it September 4th or 5th, whatever the first day of the semester is? So that error message that's in the chat that you're getting, that's why you're getting that now, because you don't quite have access yet, but once we get close to the start of the semester, you will. Yes, rock climbing is free. Fitness center is available, Building J of the Fanshawe College Boulevard campus. I can never say that. So we are located on the main campus. Is the equipment free? So the equipment for like the rock climbing and the golf simulator, it is free to borrow. We take your student card when you borrow anything from us so that you bring it back to us and we will give you your student card back. So just make sure if you're looking to borrow equipment that you have your student card on you, but there's no extra fee to use any of the equipment that we have available. Unfortunately, the facility is only open to current students and faculty members. So we do not have a day pass available. So spouses, family members, those kinds of things are not able to use the facility. We are located on the main campus. So unfortunately, there isn't anything at the satellite campuses. We are looking at getting some services out there. That's kind of in the very, very early stages, but it would not be the full facility, unfortunately. All of these available all day. So during our operating hours, most of them are, like I said, the rock climbing and the golf simulator are not always open the same hours, but you will be able to, you go in and book those things anyway, so you'll be able to see those times. I just don't have the timing of the rock wall and the golf simulator confirmed for the fall yet, so I can't give you those, but we do work relatively hard to keep them open as much as possible. Typically, the rock wall opens around noon most days and is open a little later into the evening, so 7, 8 o'clock. And the golf simulator, the learn to golf lessons are kind of scattered throughout the week. And then the simulator itself is open for open time most of the outside time. We do not have a climbing club, like a structured climbing club. However, we do find the wall is a really great place to meet people. And you guys can almost kind of build your own climbing club. You can meet people, you can come in at the same time as them, and build those relationships and those friendships in there. One of the greatest things about this facility is that you meet lots of people who have the same interests as you. So it allows you to make friends, and sometimes making friends outside of your program and stuff is a little more difficult. So coming in and using this facility, if it's something you're interested in, can be a really great way to meet people who have similar interests to you as well. Sports and teams. So varsity teams, if you go to fanshawefalcons.ca, you'll find all of the information about varsity teams there. There is a prospect form if you're interested in varsity sports. From the recreation side of things, there are, and bear with me because this isn't my area of expertise, but there are drop-in sports. So things like basketball, badminton, cricket. I'm sure I'm missing things, volleyball, and you can come in and use that during the time the gym is open. That schedule does change from week to week, and it is available at fanshawefalcons.ca. And then there's also structured events as well from the recreation side of things. So there's intramurals, which those registration for that usually opens in the first week of school. So if you're interested in intramurals, watch for that information then. It's usually a very quick turnaround. So it opens and then it closes relatively quickly in the first couple weeks. So if you're interested in intramurals, come and see us in that first week of September and we'll get you set up with all of that stuff. Free consultation, one time available only. So the fitness orientation is a one-time service. The consultation technically would be a one-time service, but if you came in and had a consultation and we pushed you into the orientation program and then you decided you wanted to come back and do personal training, we would give you another consultation. Services are free. Yes, everything is included outside of the personal training. There is an extramural cricket team. I don't know a lot about it, but yes, there is one. Again, come and see us early on in the semester if you're interested in that, and we should have more information about that at that time. Some of these are just repeat questions, so I'm just scrolling. How do you access the pool? Come and see us. We'll put your name on the list. We send that off to Carling Heights, and then you just need to take your student card when you go. All of the appointments can be booked through the app. You don't need to book the swimming stuff. That you will show up at Carling Heights to use, so it's based on their schedule. We don't have control over when those things are available. The one other thing I'll mention with the swimming is that you have access to the lane swim program and the aquafit program that's included in your membership. The recreational swim is not included. So if you are looking to do the recreational swim, you will have to pay for it. Yes, if you're at a regional campus, you can use the facility. Just come and see us. We'll fill out your paperwork in person, and then you make your payment. There is the payment for a semester, a full payment for a semester is $54.24. Is every 2 weeks that price drops. So if you don't get your membership purchased at the beginning of the semester and you wait a month, then you're only paying for what you use basically. So if you only use it for half of the semester, then you only have to pay for half of the semester, which is great. You can sign up, you can fill out that Get Active questionnaire without your fan card, but you can't come in our doors without your fan card. Climbing wall, all of that is on the main campus. No, we do not have any martial arts classes. Kickboxing would be the only thing that even sort of mimics that, which will be new in the fall. Yes, we do. We will have equipment for the kickboxing classes. So all of that is available. You don't have to bring any extra equipment to any of the group classes. If you have a yoga mat, some people prefer to use their own, but we do have some available as well if you don't have your own. Did I miss anything, Crystal? That was a lot of questions.
Yes, that was a lot of questions. Thank you all for being so
I
engaged.
was like, I know I was throwing information really fast at you guys too. But yeah, all of it will be on our website. If it's not there yet, it will be updated for the fall. Some of it we just don't have finalized yet, and that app is the best place to go, because it will have all of that information there, and all of our programs and services that are bookable are there. So that's the best place to see what's going on here.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us today and answering so many of these awesome questions.
Yeah.
And everyone, I want to thank you all for continuing to be so engaged. And hopefully you are all coming back tomorrow for our housing session. So where we'll be talking to another Ashley, who's going to help us with housing mediation and different things to look for when choosing a rental and fire safety. So everybody have a good rest of your day and a good evening. And once again, thank you, Ashley, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.